started then. Hey, good evening. Thanks for joining us here at the Directors Panel. My name is Silver Eagle. I'm the director of Ponyville Live, although I'm not on the panel. I'm just sort of hosting it. And we're joined by two people who are involved very heavily in the creative and execution process of the My Little Pony genius that is. Here we're joined by Jayson Theissen. Hello. And all rise for the hymn. And also Big Jim Miller. Hello. So I thought we'd follow the pretty standard format here. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Where you see yourselves in 5 years, your strengths and weaknesses. Yeah, exactly.
Well, as you all know, I'm Jayson Theissen. I'm supervising director of My Little Pony from seasons 1 through now. I've also made it to co-executive producer. Ooh. Primo. I also directed the Equestria Girls movie, which I hope you all liked. So we'll on it.
Everyone tells us they like it to our faces.
Yes. After that, I don't know. And I've been in the animation industry since like 1998 in Vancouver, working pretty steady throughout, which is like a blessing because not everyone can claim that, and we've been very fortunate in Vancouver to have a lot of work, so it keeps me busy. So.
Well, you know my name because it was said earlier. I worked on Ed, Edd n Eddy for 10 years. After that finished up, I went over to DHX and I did a few other things there, and then transitioned to doing one board at the end of season 1 of Pony to fill in for someone who left. Fool. And then was promoted to board supervisor for seasons 2 and 3 and the first Equestria Girls movie, and then Woody decided to move on to other things, and I was lucky enough to be bumped up to co-director for season 4. So that's.
And he's been under my thumb ever since.
Yeah. So I am animatronically puppeted by Jayson.
Wow. He's my left foot.
Yeah. So we owe you both a big debt of gratitude for season 4 then.
And cash.
And large sums of non-consecutive numbered bills delivered to you.
We set up a Swiss bank account. The number is under everyone's chair.
I am accepting Bitcoin.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because it's worth so much now.
I was going to say, yeah.
You should have heard me talk about Bitcoin before when it was starting. It was like, I'm thinking of starting a soon going to make it into mining and stuff. That'd be pretty cool. And then as soon as we started talking about it, thanks.
It's my fault.
You jinxed it. Yeah. For everybody, right? Yeah. Good. Well, so first of all, we're going to open this up to everybody out there for questions. We obviously have a packed house here of people who are very interested to learn more about what you do.
We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for coming out.
Thank you for coming out.
Well, let's start this off by just what would you say you do here?
Here
at the con?
Both. Honestly, first of all, how are you experiencing the con so far?
Oh, I love it. It's always a good time coming to.
I'm experiencing it through all of my senses. My eyes are seeing the people. My ears are hearing.
You're not going to go through all of it.
You're going to get the smell.
It's over. Let it go.
Well, when you get sometimes that's the one sense you wish you could turn off. But that's true of any con.
I also wish I could turn off my pinky sense.
Yeah. Why would you want to turn that off? Because then you're going to get hit by an anvil or something horrible.
I don't know, right? When things are predicted, it's like Minority Report, right? It's like
I'd rather have cheesy sense. Because then I'd always know where the greatest parties
are. Oh, right,
are.
yeah, cheesy sense, right. Okay, I almost forgot.
So, what was the question again?
I don't remember.
What was it that I do?
What is it that you do?
Well, on the show.
But on the show.
Yeah.
Everyone grab your blankets and a pillow, because this is going to be boring.
Yeah, it will be boring. So, as director, we take the scripts and as they're written and approved by Hasbro, and we occasionally give notes,
give some
things like
notes.
that to help develop the visual aspect
The
or
writers are
certain
great. They
aspects.
don't need a ton of help from us, but
Yeah.
every once in a while we're like, remember that one episode? They did that thing, so maybe let's change this one little thing.
Yeah. And they don't have hands.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's just a common thing that happens sometimes, but something's written in that requires someone to pick it up, and we're like, how are we gonna do this?
That person is not a unicorn. They do not have magic, and having them hold something like this doesn't work so well.
Please don't drop the
That was a
microphone.
really dramatic demonstration. Wow.
Well, yeah.
So anyway, we take from there, we go on to the design phase, and we'll look through the script and figure out everything that needs to be designed for that particular episode.
You skipped a stage.
Which?
Voice record.
Actually, we started.
Oh, that's right. We
before
did.
voice
Guys,
record, you
I'm new
told.
at this job.
But basically, we oversee all the aspects.
A lot of things are going on concurrently.
Yeah.
So we're looking at designs while those are happening and giving feedback and saying like, no, make the hair poofier. And then we're also going down to the records and saying, Andrea, come on, you can do better than that.
Calm down, Andrea. A little less excitement.
And then we have to sit down with Daniel and go, better. And
More cowbell.
Yeah.
More cowbell? Is
Yes.
that- Yeah.
Anyway.
You have a
Ponyville.
fever.
There's so many aspects to it, and every month there's a new department starting. So, once scripts are done, we go through design and voice records, and then we got to do storyboards, and then we add in editing, animatics, and
Animation reviews,
and mixing,
sound effects
sound.
and music.
And it's like this one big.
But it's not like one after another. Everything's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a script for an episode at the end of season 4 while we're designing an episode a little bit earlier than that, while we're looking at storyboards an episode a little bit earlier than that. Like it's all layered over top of each other. So some days we're literally running from room to room to room.
There's at any given time we're about 7 episodes at once in various aspects of that episode. So we have to switch our minds. I walk into a room. What episode is this again? Oh, that one. Okay, that's
could look at your
about
phone.
Discord, and
It's
he's
in your
gonna.
phone.
Okay, I got it. Sometimes it's in, sometimes it's not.
I know.
My iPhone is like a huge asset. Without it, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing.
And we're usually about 8 weeks ahead of the air date. So we saw an episode today. We finished that about 8 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah. But we've been working on it for the better part of a year.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like a year of a good line of 7 or 8 or 10 episodes, all moving down a conveyor belt at different stages.
That we've
As the
seen
next
hundreds
10
of
are coming
times.
in behind it.
Yeah.
And then if another season is approved, we'll start that right in behind that. So there's a new one's coming down the pipe. And we got to start all over again, go back to the scripts and look at that while we're doing the final mixes of the previous season.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Lucy in the Chocolate Factory on I Love Lucy.
We always have a mouthful of chocolate.
Yeah, it's like, this episode, that
Literally, as well. I ate a lot of chocolate.
There was even a Pinkie Pie reference to that, wasn't
Yeah,
there?
When she was eating
That
the
was
cherries in the last round.
I really like
It was
seeing
actually
that scene.
just a depiction of your job title.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a quite a tight schedule, but that's TV, and we just we're getting better and better at accommodating it and getting more efficient. And
we also have an amazing crew and amazing production staff that, you guys never get to meet these people.
Yeah, like the
but
producers
the producers
and
the production manager
and coordinators.
These guys and girls,
They make it
work,
all run.
super hard, and we would be a complete mess without them.
Yeah, because we don't know what the heck we're doing half the time.
Fake it till you make it.
What am I doing today? I don't know. Leslie, can you tell me? And then she's okay. Don't forget, you got to go to the voice record at this time, that and that. And it just keeps us in check and on schedule and on time, because otherwise you'd still be waiting for season 4.
Oh, goodness.
I want to tweak this one more thing. Don't send it out.
I don't know what we'd do. We call that the hiatus.
Yeah,
we call that the gap between the episodes.
Actually, it isn't a hiatus.
Can we do a little something? Can we have a round of applause for all our production and staff? Thank you.
They definitely appreciate that. They definitely deserve it.
Truly the unsung heroes.
Absolutely.
Production. Absolutely.
Yep.
So now, so you mentioned you have an 8-week timeline?
No, that's
8 weeks. Sorry, 8 weeks after the
air,
the
delivery
completion
date
of the episode.
That's roughly. Like this season, that's been roughly how it's been.
Yeah.
Have you ever cut it close?
No, we're awesome.
No.
We're
always on time.
No, the schedule is designed in such a way that you can't cut it close, because even once we're done with the episode, like we're like, hey, it's good to go, it goes to Hasbro and they have their round of quality control, and then they have to go and decide what they're gonna release for promo stuff and send it out, all the little teasers and things to the TV guide and all that stuff. So it has to be there when it has to. The show just deadline, and we can't really miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when they're doing those little TV commercials and stuff, do they just put all those together, or do you?
Oh no, they do all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we see it at the same time you guys see.
And we do a lot of this.
I was gonna say, you notice they spoil a lot in those little trailers sometimes.
Yeah.
Not careful.
Jason's talk to them about it.
I brought that up, but they have a good point. Like they know, certain fans like you guys are going to watch the show, and they're very happy about that.
We've already been brainwashed. Good to go.
They're looking for the newer viewers, and they're trying to like entice them by showing them a piece of the show that's interesting. And yeah, unfortunately, it might give away a few things. Like if it was up to us, you wouldn't see.
You wouldn't know what it was called.
You know the title and how it airs.
Is it even on? You go like, what's going on?
Yeah. What a surprise! I just happened to catch it. So maybe we wouldn't be good
That's why we direct the show. We don't market the show.
Yeah. They want to promote it and put it out there so you guys know what's coming and you want to see it.
Yeah, I can just imagine the surprise if you didn't tell people episode names until the day they aired, and they're just waiting for that title card to see what pun you're going to use.
Well, I just wonder what everyone would do with all their free time, because there's usually so much speculation, and you guys like pre-writing episodes before they come. Oh, this totally means that
That's
Discord's
dangerous.
coming back, and he's gonna like fist fight Twilight.
And if this doesn't happen in the episode, I'm going to be really mad. It's like, sorry, that wasn't what we wrote, but
But what else are we going to do?
Yeah. I guess that's part of the fun, right?
We got 30 minutes of show every week.
Yeah.
And the rest we just got to fill with other stuff.
That's true.
So I suppose we'll open the floor to questions, and the way that these two have opted to do it is a bit of a unique approach. So bear with us here. So
Should we explain how this is done?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Jason and I were talking earlier, and it's never fun to say like, you can't ask us about this and you can't ask us about that. So we've decided that you can ask us whatever you want. But if we deem it to be a dumb or inappropriate question, we will publicly shame you. So be forewarned. And you won't know where those limits are. So you want to roll the dice? Let's play a game. You are a dangerous man. I am a force of nature.
Don't let that scare anybody from asking. Oh, see, now everybody's terrified. Nobody wants to put their...
This is going to be a real short panel.
Matt's got a question. All right.
Is there a difference in directing a 3-hour movie and a 22-minute episode?
A 3-hour movie?
3 hours?
Who's making that movie? Have you directed a 3-hour movie?
It's Lord of the Rings pony.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe if you string all the episodes together. Yeah, that's fine.
One does not simply
I
walk into
understand.
Canterlot High.
It's definitely different. Like 22 minutes, you only really get a certain, you have to get to the point, Like between each act, between the commercials breaks, you only really get about 7 to 10 minutes. And if you take more than that, then you're going to have to shorten something else. So we got to wrap things up and do a nice little cliffhanger at the end of the teaser, or at the end of the act. So all that has to happen in that time, And then at the end, you have to like, well, we've set up all this stuff. We got 22
pay it
minutes,
off, yeah.
13 seconds, and 16 frames. We got to hit, and there's no
There's no
more or less.
like this one's gonna be 2 minutes longer because
Yeah.
it's cool.
No, yeah. And so sometimes we got to be like, you know what? I really wanted more here, but that's got to go. You know, we just have to cut stuff.
Right. Well, I think we've talked on panels before. Like we use the term at the office. We got to kill some babies. It's really tough because you fall in love with these jokes or these moments, and you're like, it's so funny.
Gotta let
it's so
go,
cool.
man. Just let
But
it go.
It doesn't have anything
It
to do
doesn't
with
work.
the
There's
story.
no
But
time.
I love this
Don't
baby.
just let
But I love
just
this
let
baby.
it go.
Bye, baby.
That was a very, very, very bad.
Do not
skit
tweet
you
that,
just
please.
did.
Do not tweet that.
Now, as terrible as that reference may seem, though, it is in a way your babies after having spent so much time with
Yeah,
it.
this is the thing. That
It is true.
I don't think sometimes people realize that Jayson and I sit with this thing the longest.
year.
Like
This is a year.
Like it's like 8
That's
months to
actually-
a year for each episode.
episode.
That's
Yeah.
longer than the term of delivering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We do both a lot of babies. 26 people. We are baby making
But, and
machines.
to further answer your question before we move on, when you go to a longer format, you don't have to sacrifice those moments as much. You
can
have a
nurture
bigger
those babies.
You got more time to play those things out, and it's a real pleasure to be able to like sit there and be like, oh, I just want to hold on this moment and let it really sink into her, and then move on. Like it gives you more gravity to be able to build up to.
You
it.
should have seen the glee in his eyes when we were doing Equestria Girls. He's like, what? I can hold on this shot?
Yeah, I can set.
I can play this emotion a little bit longer?
I've done 7-minute episodes, and that's just brutal. Because that's what Puka
Robot
was.
chicken?
It was a show called Puka.
Yeah.
I did a couple seasons of that, and it was really tough because they were sometimes very epic storylines, and I'd be like, I can't fit this in 7 minutes. So things that I really wanted to do, I had to let go or just do a lot faster, and it became very frenetic and fast, and almost too much. And then so we got Pony, and it was 22 minutes. I was like, thank God, I get to do
That
something
felt like an
longer.
eternity, I'm sure.
But then that ends up being kind of short-lived as
It
well.
has its own
It has
set
its
of
own set of
challenges.
limits. So anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, next question over here. Yes, right here.
Sure.
Sure.
Awesome. Tell me about the art of cold call, who you should go about contacting and how you should go about presenting yourself.
Like as a telemarketer?
The art of cold calling.
As I say, maybe like,
If you're calling a studio and saying, give me a job.
don't want an intern to be exact.
I don't know, because we haven't had to do that. We were lucky enough. I mean, Jayson and I were both in film school around the same time, so we've known each other for
Yeah.
almost
15,
20 years. So it's a long time.
Yeah,
And the industry in Vancouver is small
Very
enough
small.
that someone like he was over at DHX, and then when I ended up there, him and Woody had worked with me before, and they're like, oh, we should get Jim on the show. Like, it's not a particularly difficult thing once you're in it. And I've told a story about when I started at AKA, I had done a storyboard test, and I was visiting a friend after I had submitted the test who worked there already, and she's like, did you get a call to come in on Monday? And I'm like, no. Oh, well, I think they're going to call you, so just come in on Monday. I never got a phone call, but I did show up on Monday, and they did put me to work. And I worked there for 10 years. So maybe just show up. It worked for me.
we have a crowd outside the studio next week.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone, you may get arrested 99 times, but that one job is going to
Get a hard hat. Get a hard hat and one of those old-timey lunch boxes. And when the other minions are walking in, you just join the line, keep your head down, and just no one will ever notice.
Yeah, now
I don't know. That's a hard.
It's all on your head now.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to make some phone calls to HR after this.
Watch out for hard-headed people. No, just
This is always a hard question to answer because every person who's in the industry has a very different story.
Yeah.
It's unique to them. I always tell people, like, just phone the studio and ask the question, like, how do you guys like to receive submissions?
Yeah.
Do you have interns? Like, if they have a general information email on their webpage, you can ask a question, just say, like, do you accept interns? If they say no, then don't call them. Because then you're not going to convince them otherwise if they don't do it.
Can you accept it?
Yeah.
Have you considered changing your intern provider?
Yeah, maybe. And I mean, the practices down here in the States might be different in Canada too.
Right. And speaking of which, anybody, and a lot of people kind of dream of getting a job in Vancouver after spending time in the pony world. But the thing is, Vancouverites, that actually makes a lot more sense. They love to hire other Vancouverites. In fact, they have big incentives.
They have a government policy for that.
Right, exactly. That's what it is.
Well, it's true here too. Like, we can't just come down and go, like, walk over. We're going to start working in Los Angeles now. They'd be like, you Canucks, get out of here. So, you're welcome and sorry, I guess.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
You had your hand up for a while there. Yeah.
I was just wondering, when I'm discussing equipment girls with my friends, what things they'll bring up is, well, I don't like it because it had season 3.
Ooh.
That's not
No,
true.
that's not true
at all.
It did not have season 3.
We knew season 3 was going to be 13 episodes before we even knew Equestria Girls was a thing.
Yeah, it was already decided upon. At first it was like, season 3, we're going to do 26. And then it was like, actually, the budget for this year is not so great. Let's just do 13 and see where it goes. And then as we got through the end of it, we were like waiting, like, are we going to get another 13? Are we going to get another 13? And they're like, yeah, you know what? We'll just leave it at that, and then we'll do a full one next time around.
But yeah, the way I understood it, it was they had decided on season 3 before the craze of season 1 had hit.
Yeah, right.
So they were sure. Like, we'll do 13, then we have an appropriate number that we can put into syndication. So even if the show tanks, we'll have this bank and we can sell them to Kazakhstan or whatever.
It is just enough.
So that really validates. This is a big fan theory that was going around for the longest time. Is that 65 is this magic number for syndicated episodes, and once they hit that, then you're in danger. People were scared because they thought, it's just syndicating. All we're going to see is reruns because kids will put up with it.
No, I think the success of the show, because of people like all you who are in this room and who are in this building, the show will continue as long as you guys continue to watch it and spend money on it.
It makes the world go around.
Money. You're welcome. Good question. Thank you. In the back, right there.
What's the lesson you've learned the hard way?
The hard way?
Dog cookies do not taste as good as you would think.
What did you say?
Dog cookies don't taste as good as you think. Oh, you mean in animation or just in life?
Don't drink too much the day before, so you have to phone in to the voice record the next day.
Jason learns how to after every Christmas party. He forgets in the 364 days prior, and then the Christmas party.
I'll be fine tomorrow. I'll just have another one.
Oh, goodness. I'm really sick today. Oh, but we have a show to make. All right.
Yeah, I learned that one the hard way.
Well, if you can't take off sick, well then how do you go on these vacations?
It helps.
You have to move the schedule around.
Yeah, you move stuff around.
He goes on vacation, I stay.
That's why we hired him.
Yeah.
Nice.
But like the only way we were able to come down to this weekend is because Friday was Good Friday in Canada, and it's a day off.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
You're welcome.
We had to work a full day Thursday, get on a plane, come here.
Everybody give Jesus a round of applause.
And,
so that we
we'll be back to work on Monday morning, 9 a.m.
Yes, we
Coming right off the plane.
we get back to Vancouver at midnight on Sunday, and we have stuff to do at 9 a.m. Yeah.
No, thank you. All right, in the back with the hat. Yeah.
I have two questions. One, when and how did you first join DHX, working there? And the second question, excuse me if this is stereotypical Canadians, but
Uh-oh.
is the routine?
Oh yeah, no, poutine.
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 Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal. If you're gonna have poutine,
Do it in the
you gotta
origin.
go to where it originated.
Yeah.
And Montreal is the place. You get like a smoked meat sandwich and poutine in Montreal, and then you never leave. There's lots of places in Canada, and it depends on your taste.
There's a place on Commercial Drive, the
Yeah.
Belgian fries,
Belgian
pretty
fries,
good.
yeah.
Frites, they're okay.
Don't get the large. It's too big
It's
for
too
one
much.
man.
It's Canadian sized.
How did
Oh
you-
wait, that mean it's not big enough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say
Portions are small.
Is this like an opposite statement?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we're supersizing everything.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys are,
Half it.
sorry sizing.
They're soy sizing.
Soy size, yeah.
Yeah, I like
Or
that.
A size.
Soy size, eh?
Oh no, sorry, it's size A.
Size A. Size A. Yeah.
What size would you like? Would you like soy or A? Hoser?
Yeah.
But your other question was, how did we get started at DHX? In Vancouver, the animation industry is quite small, and there's a lot of different studios, and their schedules can be, the contract can be quite short, 6 months, 4 months, 8 months. So we all kind of like, at least in my experience,
mine's
you were
different.
10 years in one place.
That's weird.
Yeah, but we get, sort of traded around at different studios as the schedules sort of end. And they actually start scheduling them according to like, if we end our schedule here, we can get, we can let these guys go to the other studio. But when I got started, it was basically just applied, and it was
What year was
Studio
that?
B at the time. And
What
it
year was that?
it was
2004, you said, right?
No.
I'm just gonna throw out other numbers. 2003.
Like 1999 or
Been there that
2000. Not concurrently.
Oh, I see.
I would be there for like 6 months and I'd go somewhere else. But since 2004, I've been there concurrently, and that was when Puka got greenlit. And that was my first directing gig.
I finished up at AKA in 2008, and it was a really crappy year in the industry once
Oh,
I
yeah,
got
I remember
out.
that year.
There was like no work.
You say 2008?
2008
Oh, that was when the big
dead
recession
year.
hit.
Yeah, it was very coincidental.
Yeah, and I was really desperate for work, and they phoned me up and they said, like, I know you sort of done boards on like a big network TV show, but do you want to do on-call revisions for Martha Speaks? I was like, can I have money to eat? And they said, I guess. And I was like, okay. I guess. And then I was sort of in and out there for a little while because there'd be work for a bit, and then they'd be like, oh, we don't have anything for it. And I'd be like, oh, I'll just go live in my car for a while. And then that turned into doing boards on Kid vs. Cat Season 2. And then right after that, Pony was starting just as we were finishing Kid vs. Cat, and someone left on Pony, and that's how I started there.
Yeah, 2008 I was out of work for most of the year
Everybody
too.
was.
I got asked onto Martha Speaks to be an animator. And I was just like, finally, some work. And my wife was giving birth right around that time, our first child. And I was like, I have a baby on the way. I don't have any job. What am I going to do? So I took whatever I could get at the time. And then, after a few months of Martha, that's when Pony came up. And they were like, would you like to be a director? And I'm like, oh, okay, what is it? It's My Little Pony. Okay. And then they showed me the materials. And I'm like, okay.
I think that's like a common story for all of us. And I know when they approached me to do that first board, I was like,
Just come in. It'll be good. Just take a look at it. Just take a look at it. It's good.
and then you look at it and you're like, yeah, I think I could, yeah. Well, you want to still be cool and macho, and you're like, I guess for a girls show, it's pretty cool.
Just hearing Lauren's name being associated
Yeah.
with it at first, it was like, well, I want to work with her.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
whatever it is, I'll come in. So that was a really great thing.
Yeah. Now follow-up question, of course. So he went the stereotypically Canadian route, and so I'm going to go the stereotypically American route. And you said in and out a second ago, and we were talking about poutine. So let's talk about food.
Clearly, I like it.
So when I was in Vancouver, I binged on poutine, right? Because that's what you get.
So guess the sushi in Vancouver is better than the poutine.
And so much
I never got the
cheaper.
sushi.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's wrong with you?
Best in the world.
Sushi in places you're not used to. It's weird.
It's a
You don't have to worry in Vancouver. Just do it.
The tap water's really clean there. Yeah. All right.
It's Canada. It's like everyone gives you back rubs when you go to a restaurant.
It was very friendly.
You get a beer at the hair salon.
What?
Yeah, well,
Actually,
that's true. That is true.
I thought you had to get all your beer at the beer store.
Yeah. At the barber, sometimes you can get a beer.
Depending on
which place.
Anyway, sorry, your story.
Well, no. So my question was, it's fine. It's all right. My question was, what is it here that you have to get when you get here? While you're in the States.
It used to be that we would make runs down to Bellingham to get crazy cereal that we couldn't get in Canada. You're like, Frankenberry, because it has like spent uranium casings in it or something.
It's illegal in Canada.
Yeah, we have they're like, oh, that's gonna kill people, clearly. So that's not allowed across the border. And then we would smuggle
them.
Yeah. Jayson would come over and be like, his pants were bulging with, why you look so square?
So you just trade exotic cereals for gallons of Tim Hortons?
Yeah. I don't know. It was usually just weird food that we couldn't get back home. They're like, oh, In-N-Out Burger. Yeah. I've never had that before. And then
it's just a hamburger.
And it's like,
I was going to say, they still have hamburgers there.
Yeah, we have hamburgers.
But not usually the beer. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
The beer here, you mean?
Yeah. Well, Canadian beer is pretty good.
Canadian beer is higher alcohol percentage. Yeah. So we come down here and have your alcohol water.
Barley pop.
Barley pop.
Or the wobbly pops. We call that too.
Yeah.
Wobbly pops. All right, next question over here. All right.
Someone ask a bad question. I want to shake.
Yeah, ask a bad question. Come on.
He's getting off.
Whatever you were thinking of asking, just throw it out and switch it for who's your favorite pony.
So,
Stand up.
Stand up.
Gonna get a look at you.
Project.
so seeing as your show has a lot of plot lines with some definite ends, like the Key Marks are wanting to get their Key Marks, or Production wants to join the Wonderbolts, and the way you've already completed of Twilight is a princess, well, the succeeds Celestia. Do you see your show more as a Breaking Bad style, okay, this is our final season, conclusion, or do you see your show more as we are the Simpsons, we are South Park, we're going to keep this going for 30 years?
Are you asking for spoilers? Please say yes.
That's not, no, actually, that's
No, that's
not
actually a good
bad
question. That's a good question.
I think it is.
Why is Applejack background pony?
Okay. Wait a second.
That's the terrible question.
Yeah. I think you have what you want.
Applejack is the best pony. That was a bad question, right, everybody? Yeah. Let's all boo him. Now to your good question, Jayson.
Well, obviously, as long as Hasbro keeps ordering more, we'll find a way to keep making them, continue.
Well, but do you see yourself, and I guess the question is, do you see yourself, because Breaking Bad, kind of a...
About meth?
Yeah. We have to cook, Pinky. Do you ever see yourself tying up the loose ends? Everybody likes resolution. Obviously, each season sort of has its own little mini story, like Dexter.
Well, right. Yeah, but every loose end you tie up, reveals a new thread.
Right.
Like with Twilight becoming a princess, that's not the end. That's the beginning.
Right.
Now is her journey as a princess, learning how to, fly. That's a new skill for her.
We also do a thing, though, that because sometimes we don't know if we're going to get more, we try to treat it as, can we end the season in a way that is satisfying, that if it doesn't go on
for whatever reason,
it still works.
Yeah.
So at the end of season 2, we had a lovely wedding, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
There's still things we could continue to explore, and we did, but at the end of season 3, Twilight became a princess. It's maybe not what you wanted, but we did it. Deal with it. But if it had ended there, that to me was still a satisfying conclusion. She worked towards something, she had achieved it.
Yeah.
Okay, But now it's like you said, it's a beginning. What does this mean for her now and her friends? So, well, that's what season 4 is kind of exploring.
Yeah.
In 3 weeks or 4 weeks, when you see the end of season 4. No
spoilers.
No spoilers. But let me tell you what happens.
Don't worry, I have the off switch.
But in the way we talked about it, we feel satisfied with the arc we kind of created this season. We feel like it offers some conclusions. Some of the questions people have had this season will be answered.
Like what's in the box?
Apparently it's nachos according to Pixel Kitties.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not. It's actually just another smaller locked box.
Yeah.
That's season 5.
Spike got into it earlier and just was storing. He was trying to hide the nachos he made for all the kids before. Yeah. He was like, how did this get in here?
Actually, that's
Mr.
what
Bean
in
style.
the box is season 5.
What? It started?
It's just like this weird infinity mirror. And like, what is happening?
But yeah, like you know, in a way, you can see every ending as a beginning to a new adventure. Like whoever whatever happens to Rainbow Dash, that she's gonna have to deal with that and learn new things. So
And
I
I
don't
think-
ever really feel like it's done.
And as long as we're still enjoying making the show, and Hasbro is still willing to let us make the show, and we feel that there are stories worth telling, and I think you guys have seen the writers, they have tons of stories they want to tell.
You got a really good team of writers.
yeah.
Don't worry.
We'll keep doing it. So,
Cool.
again, you're welcome.
Thank you, and also boo. All right, let's see. Let's shake it up. All right, over here on the right, in the pink.
Oh, yeah.
Go for it. Stand up. Be a
Hello. Nice shirt.
Of course you have a tail. Of course you have a tail.
But anyways, going off of the last question about how you see the episodes, like come up with episodes, how much influence does Hasbro have over you and you and the writers? Like,
Well, I mean, the writers will come up with episode ideas, and sometimes Hasbro execs will come up with that. Sometimes we'll come up
Sometimes
with
we
ideas.
do, yeah.
It comes from any one of us, because we know altogether what
From a
we're
premise-
trying
from a
to
premise
from a
stage.
premise stage. So we might just propose something like, well, what about it?
Pinkie Pie fell down this week.
Yeah. Oh, we can write a story around that. Yeah, like we don't have like a lot. We don't have a pull over them or anything like that. Like it's, we're all working together. It's a collaborative process. So someone proposes an idea, we all listen to it and like, hey, how about this? How about that? No, that doesn't feel right for us. Or oh, Hasbro doesn't like this direction because they want to do something with brand or whatever. So a good idea can come from anywhere. So there's no one really at this stage lording over anyone else.
And the Hasbro executives, to their
They're
credit,
amazing.
have been so supportive of
Really,
letting us
really
try
supportive.
crazy stuff.
All right, raise your hand if you're a Hasbro executive, because clearly there are some.
Well, there's a lot of people. There's some of you probably follow them on Twitter, like Mike Vogel,
Brian Leonard.
and Brian Leonard, the Wheel of Cheese on Twitter, and MK Toon on Twitter. Those guys are fantastic.
Yeah, we love them. We love working with them.
Not only are they great dudes, but they are our biggest supporters.
Yeah.
You can see from their tweets about the show.
Yeah, they love the show as much as you guys.
They're as excited as us watching the show. Yeah.
Let's just put it this way. Mike Vogel went to Burning Man dressed as Rainbow Dash. Wow. That's how much that man loves this show.
He puts every single song that Daniel makes on his workout iPod shuffle.
Now he's going to get tackled at the gym.
Yeah.
Because he's got songs that aren't going to be coming out for a while. And then,
So is Mike Vogel actually like a role model for us to live by? Wow.
Absolutely. Have you seen that man? He's cut. He is cut.
He's ripped?
And that guy embodies friendship. He can make a friend anywhere, anytime, with anyone. I've
Jayson,
seen it happen.
we've seen it, yeah.
He can make friends with anybody.
He would come in
anywhere.
here and he would sit here and then he would say hello and then be like, oh hi, and know everyone by name, and you'd be like, oh, it's a magic trick. It's crazy how personal that guy is.
Mega charming man.
Now, do you guys remember with the big ideas, who had them? Do you have it in the back of your head? Like, do you remember who has who has like some big storyline? Like, you remember, like, oh, I remember that one.
Well, sometimes it changes, right? Like, I know Jayson and I have proposed a few things over the years, and we had a nugget of an idea, and then Megan or Amy or Mitch or Josh or someone takes it, and it becomes something else entirely, but it's way better than the dumb thing we came up with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they are great at sort of taking our poop and polishing it into shiny nuggets.
So like Mitch could take your idea and give it wings, so to speak.
So to speak. And then we take it back and then make it fly.
Make it fly, right.
Teach it how to fly.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, next question. All right, we got a couple of really patient people here in the back, and right wiggling hand, which I know is not...
How about the yellow hat?
Yeah, yellow hat.
Or it's orange, Jayson.
Well, the light is terrible.
Yeah.
He's dressed as the best pony.
There you go.
Yes.
What
When I started in animation, I never really had a aspiration to be a director. I just thought, that's totally out of my league. That'll never happen. I'm just happy to be animating. That was my life's goal right there. And it's only like over time, as I was working on shows and seeing the process and like starting to have opinions about how things should be done, and
He became a loudmouth.
yeah, I don't like the way this is edited, or I don't know, whatever. But and over time, I just got more and more interested in it, and it wasn't until like I had gotten experience like supervising animation and sort of further up the chain. And then when Puka came along, I saw that was a proposal in the studio, and I knew the little shorts from the web. I was like, oh, I want to work on that show. I got to make that show happen. And I just, went to our HR department and was like, we have to get this show, and I'm going to direct it. And it was just because I liked the idea of, and I had ideas of how to do it. And I just kind of like strong-armed my way in. And they said, well, we're not sure we can get this, so if you can do the test that gets us the show, yeah, sure, you can direct whatever that is. Because our boss didn't really know what it was. So I just was like, it's mine. I'm going to make this. And then after that, I just got hired as a director, and I was like totally in shock of what I had to do now. And then I just learned because I had to. And then I just sort of became a director. I never thought it would last. I thought, I'll just do one season and they'll bump me back down to animator.
I'm still convinced I'm going to get fired. And my
I'm
story
hanging over his head every day.
Yeah, he does. I've mowed his lawn so many times. My story's kind of similar. Like, I didn't even know I wanted to be a storyboard artist, and then when I ended up at AKA, that's what they were doing, and I fell in love with just storytelling. And I just wanted to become better and better at storytelling, and moving to being the board director, or board supervisor on Pony and Season. Can someone turn down that bass?
Yeah. Vinyl.
Being able to
He's an old man.
I am, guys. Is it dinner time? I gotta go to bed. Being able to sort of influence all the stories in a season was great, and then when Jayson and the rest of the production decided they wanted to give me a crack at directing, it's like, oh, I can see it through all the way to the end? Yes, please, even though it's terrifying. It's not something I necessarily said, this is where I want to be, as much as it's like, I just want to be good at the thing I'm doing now, and if something happens, cool, but if not, at least I'm doing the best I can in the job I'm in.
And the way we do things at the studio, and probably everywhere that's like this, you're not just thrust into the fire with no help. Like when I got on Puka, I had a supervising director above me. I was an assistant director, and he kind of like took the brunt of the heavy lifting in terms of dealing with the networks and being on phone calls and giving suggestions on scripts. And I just sort of learned under him, and he took me under his wing and then we do the same thing with anybody else.
Yeah, Jason has really helped get me through this season.
So like if he's struggling with something, I give him some support, and like we help each other. Yeah. So there's always someone else to kind of lean on a bit, and the studio's really good about being supportive, and if we I don't really know what I'm doing, I need some help, and they'll find a way to accommodate that. They want people. They want to set us up. They
want us to succeed.
not to fail. Yeah.
Sure. That's a very refreshing approach both of you have about this. It's just sort of take what life gives you and do it well. Whatever
It's
you
not
do,
that you
do it
shouldn't
well.
have a goal per se.
No,
but,
of course, right.
But it's good to have a goal, but don't forget where you are in the moment, and be the best you can be where you are now.
And actually, it's a good point. Like, sometimes you get, when you're at a big studio that does a lot of shows like DHX, they move you around to keep you working, because nobody wants to be out of work, because when the show's over, what are you going to do? Well, you can go on to a different show. And, but sometimes the show you're, put on, isn't exactly to your style. Maybe you don't really like it, but it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't matter. You'd still do the best job you can.
Yeah, we don't always get to
and make it
choose what
good
we
for
work
you.
on.
Yeah, you make it good. Make yourself happy always first, and then other people will notice that. It's like what we did with Ponies. We want to make this really good because we just love making good stuff.
Well, we want to make a show that we would watch.
Yeah, I want to do this because I like it.
And we are the arbiters of taste.
Well, we're also trying to please Lauren.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We still have conversations to this day about how would Lauren handle this
Yeah.
issue? What do her characters, how would they react in these situations? Like, her legacy is still prevalent in the show.
Wow. So a lot of WWLFD.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
She's always in the back of my mind. I'm always thinking about like notes I've received from her, and I still have kept them all. And I just kind of keep it in mind, like how would she have done this? And we put our own spin on it, of course, but there's
She may
always
not
like
always,
that.
yeah, if she were to watch the show, she may not always agree with the choices we make, but we do try our darndest to make sure that what we do is true to the characters and the spirit of the show and the things that we've established beforehand.
Yeah. I think as fans, we sort of exhale finally after a few years when we hear things like that. We think, oh, it's keeping the legacy. It's keeping the same passion. It's obviously got people who care a lot about it who are running the show.
But you guys are going to flip when they go into space next season.
There's people that have been on the show since day one, like myself and
Leslie, our production manager.
It's like she and I have been on since day one, and an unbroken chain of time. So we're just like trying to just keep doing the same thing we've been doing all along, and without.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But with always like making improvements. We're always trying to improve ourselves, and but it's always like better quality. How can we just make this more entertaining, more fun, more cool to watch?
Would you say 20% cool? Guys, I said a meme.
That was a bad question.
That was.
Because it wasn't a question.
It wasn't a question.
It was a question. Yeah,
That was
exactly.
a bad statement.
That was a bad expression.
Okay.
All right. Next question. Guy in the brony shirt.
That's everyone!
Let's actually, you know what? Let's get a female perspective on something. Is there anything?
Sure.
You have a question? Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, I'm here about it anyway. So, you have a script. Everybody's picturing it slightly differently in their heads. Who's making the decision when about this is a close-up?
Me.
Dash is flying left.
Me.
Well, no, not entirely.
He does sometimes.
Well, the final decision does rest with us.
Yeah.
But we like to give the storyboard artist and the storyboard supervisor the opportunity to put their stink on it.
That's an animation term. It doesn't mean what you think.
Yeah, it's purely technical. You guys wouldn't understand.
But yeah, when we have our handout meetings with the board artists, we spend like a good 2-3 hours. We go over every little nuance of the script, and we try to suss out like, okay, this is the kind of thing we want to do here and here, and we just give them ideas and suggestions, and some things is like, well, we have to hit this because that's a story point, make sure we see this is important, and we just get all on the same page, and then they give their suggestions, but then from there they go off and do their
They
thumbnails.
do their spin on it.
And what we get back sometimes is different than what we had originally proposed or suggested.
Most of the time, it's better.
Yeah, it's better because they've spent the last 2-3 weeks thinking specifically about
Just about that episode.
We're off to the next episode. We like after that meeting, we don't think about it again. And they sit there and they agonize over it for that time, and then they come back and they go, like, "Will you like me? Do you like me?" Right? They were like, "Change that." No, but like sometimes you go like, "Well, that wasn't really what we were talking about," but it's not wrong. It's just your way, and that's
And your
fine.
way is wrong.
Your way is wrong. You are wrong.
All right, now everybody boo the writer.
Yeah. No,
It's not about voting the writer. It's like
I'm kidding.
The cool thing about working in this way is that it's like having one person with 7,000 brains working on the show. So ultimately, Jayson and I get to sort of oversee everything and play Lord and Master with everything, but everyone from the storyboard artist and the layout people and the design people get
Yeah.
to put a little bit of themselves in
Yeah.
the show. And this is how I would deal with Rainbow Dash in this moment. This is how I think Pinkie Pie would wear this sweatshirt or whatever.
And sometimes they come up with something that was never thought of before, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second, that's a really cool idea. Hey, maybe if we do that here, we can reprise that later again, and that creates a new little mini arc with this character, and it wasn't in the script, but it like adds a bit of a layer. And so we might like change some things elsewhere in the script to accommodate that one little nugget of an idea.
And sometimes the storyboard artists come up with these ideas that aren't scripted that are the best thing ever.
Yeah,
and
actually
they become these
really
weird little
feel-
things that you guys latch onto, and they become even bigger things.
I was just thinking of something that hasn't aired yet, and I shouldn't
Yeah,
say.
you should keep your mouth shut.
Got to be careful with that when you're in
gotta
a
be careful.
season like
But
that.
we've told this story before, but Bulk Biceps, who used to be called Snowflake.
Amongst you guys,
that
we didn't
char-
have a name for him.
Yeah, he didn't have a name in the script because he wasn't in the script.
Yeah.
Jayson and myself, and I think it was Raven Lawsey, who now works on Steven Universe, were in a thumbnail meeting, and we were joking around during this bit of where Rainbow Dash is having that meeting, and we're like, and somebody in the audience just keep going, yeah, every time Rainbow Dash says, we're going to do this, right? Yeah. And then it just became more and more ridiculous.
And we were just
Jayson
thinking,
was like,
it should be this like big, bulky guy.
and then we're like, let's
with
try
veins
this
on his neck.
insane thing and put it in the show, because Hasbro will never let us do it. But
We'll
they'll
just
get
put it in as a joke,
they'll
and then
get a
laugh it out.
and then they'll say, take it out, and then they were like, oh, we had an issue with the way that Applejack's standing later on, and then we're like, the strong guy, you don't know strong guy? And then it aired, and we were like, oh, okay. Sure. Cool. And now in season 4, he got
Now he actually has a part
name,
in the
and,
show.
yeah. And he's shown up a couple times,
Yeah.
and it's super cool.
It's just things can grow out of that.
I mean, you told me like in season 1, Vinyl or DJ Pone 3.
Yeah.
One panel in her
one
first
shot.
appearance. Not in the script. It was a party. The board artist Mike West was like, I'll put a DJ in here.
Yeah.
And then all you crazy kids went, no!
It never would have
Now she has like an Equestria Girl short to
Yeah, it's
herself.
amazing.
That's
All these
And
little
you know
vinyl
what?
figures.
And that is a testament to you guys, because nobody else and in our on our side or Hasbro side would have ever thought twice about that shot.
Yeah, that pony probably never would have come back.
But if just because of the fandom latching on to that thing and just taking it and expanding on it and loving it and nurturing it, and then Hasbro's looking at that and going like, well, they really like this thing, well, maybe we should do something with that. I mean, it takes a while for that to come back to you, but they do notice.
In some ways, that character kind of predates Derpy as the original fan.
I wasn't sure if you were going to go there, but
I mean, no, I was the
last time you guys tried to give a fan favorite character a name, that didn't quite go over, did it?
Water under the bridge.
Water under the bridge.
Guys, we're not here to talk semantics. We're talking about a DJ pony. A pony who plays DJs, and I mean records.
I'm imagining a pony with like 2 DJs.
You spin those two, and you spin those two.
Yeah.
You stop. You go.
You stop. All right. Questions over here. All right, so back there, you're actually kind of like past you. Yeah. Gray. Yeah, you've been holding your hand up quite a bit.
How long have you been an alcoholic?
Oh, that's
Just kidding. We're alcoholics.
I think you mean me.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I heard there was once an idea to give Big Macintosh his own episode where instead he would not talk at all and simply convey his emotions solely through his facial expressions like Rhonda did on Walls and Run.
But that was a comic book. They did it as a comic book drawn by Eddie Price, written by Katie Cook, that you can buy in the Honest Hour. I don't remember if that was ever proposed.
I don't think so.
I think that's purely just. It's awesome in the comic because you can see his thought balloons and see what he's thinking. But I don't think it was ever.
I don't think so. No, I never saw that premise come through. I don't think.
kind of like a Wall-E.
And I think
that's one thing he said.
It would be a cool 2-minute short. I think for 22 minutes at the end, you'd be like, just say something.
And then at the very last scene, he would.
Yeah, he would go, goodbye.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then.
Maybe.
Maybe. Undecided.
And also, why does it seem like everybody's hell-bent on keeping it from making a complete sentence like Chris did?
He's said full sentences before.
He's said a few full sentences.
He's had full speeches.
Have you not seen the Hearts and Hooves Day? He says schmoopy poops. He says all sorts of stuff in that episode. We just sort of look at him as he's the strong silent type. He doesn't.
It's actually more interesting that way, I think.
I mean,
and then you can play off of it later when you do an episode where he suddenly just blurts out a whole bunch of stuff and it means something. All
right, it has more impact.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what they did. I mean, Applejack says yup and nope, and then.
And it's super funny, right?
Yeah,
because we've done 2 full seasons of yup, nope, and then he's like, well, let me tell you about Tolstoy's War and Peace, and then,
whoa, there's something more there.
Yeah.
Next. Oh.
Tell us about something which you really love that had to get cut.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, we may want to repeat the question.
And she wants to know the names of babies who have died.
Not what she said, but yeah.
She wants to know,
do you remember any
things that we loved that we had to leave on the cutting room floor? Well, sometimes it's not. Some of them get resuscitated.
Well, they might like an idea.
Yeah, like
too
many Pinkie Pies, the G1 face. The craziest face I can make, and then it turns around and it's G1 Pinkie Pie.
That wasn't the first time that it was proposed.
Board artist Scott Underwood proposed that in another episode in season 1, and for whatever reason, it was like it either didn't go through or didn't. It was a hilarious idea, but didn't quite fit.
Yeah.
And then we tried it again in season 2, same thing. And by the time, we tried it again in season 3, and it was the perfect spot to put it.
Probably the only spot it'll ever happen.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we have a bin, not a metaphorical bin, a brain bin of the ideas, and we're like, oh, remember that weird thing? Remember that weird thing? It fits here like a Lego piece. So.
Yeah, not all ideas can fit in that, the story at the time you propose it, but we kind of keep it in the back of our mind and maybe we'll save that for later. Something might come up down the road. There was one scene in Luna Eclipsed where Rarity dresses Luna up as a pink princess. That was all boarded out, but we just didn't have the room for it.
It was sadly.
That was when the part was like, this is really it's all
it was
done.
super funny. It was great.
We had to make a big decision there, and it was like, well,
It's like it's a joke. It's a lovely joke. The interaction is fantastic. Tabitha nailed it. It was written well. It was designed gorgeously, but it wasn't integral to the story.
Yeah. And we had to take out
this. We want to spend more time with the scary stuff and setting up Nightmare Nights.
We have to think of like the larger picture. So sometimes we have to like make a judgment call.
Would you say an executive decision?
Not at the time.
No, that's right. That wasn't looking for it.
All right, yeah, next question. Up here, yeah.
Wait a minute. Why aren't you wearing socks?
It's California, dude.
Oh, right.
Why aren't
What's the best water cooler talk in the office?
I think
Water
that's a
cooler
bad
talk.
question.
Water cooler talk?
That's a bad question. I want to boo more.
you just want to? Yeah,
You might have won the boo.
I don't know. It's forced. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys.
I feel like it yanks you guys out of the illusion that this is, you have to remember that this is still a job
Right.
for you guys. Now, of course, to us, it just sounds like, well, you get to fly places with your boss and make funny jokes in front of loving fans. That seems like something I could do.
Guys, we're professionals,
Yeah.
okay? Not everybody can do this and make fart jokes in public. It takes big men. Big men.
Big man.
Well then, we talk about the same things that everyone talks about. Like Jayson, we're like, oh, you watch Breaking Bad? Yeah, I watch Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Oh, you watch Game of Thrones, Red Wedding? Oh my God! We talk about dorky stuff. Jayson and I talk a lot about science stuff. Like we're super stoked on Cosmos.
Stuff. Yeah.
Jason's always like, I was listening to NPR the other day, and did you know
that,
You can't listen to NPR. That's an American public.
you can get all sorts of stuff on the internet.
Taxes.
Yeah, well. Oh, sorry. We were listening to CBC Radio the other day. They were talking about Degrassi Junior High.
Degrassi Jr.
Which I think DHX owns now.
Did you know Joey Jeremiah wore his... that's a deep pull for some of you guys.
Anyway.
We just talk about all sorts of silly things. We talk about the world. It's the same stuff that anyone talks about. We're just dudes. A couple of dudes. Bros. Hanging out. Slapping each other on politics. Talking about hairstyles and how I can't have one.
Oh.
Next question.
I picked up.
You picked someone already.
Yeah.
So, what's going on with the Wilhelm scream in
Have you been not able to find it?
Is it a thing that it's there a lot?
Roughly about 40% of the countries.
Our sound, that is kind of a long-standing tradition with sound mix.
Audio
guys.
Right.
It's a tradition. You go and you watch a lot of action movies, it's in there somewhere. Sometimes you don't always hear it, and they're just following that tradition, and sometimes it kind of works, and so there's been a few times where we've
actually pulled it out a couple of times.
It's just
like,
too distracting.
This is taking away from the narrative.
It's
and-
it pulls
you out of the
the
story.
same way that we want to put our little stamps on things, we try to give everyone down the line in the position to do fun things that are fun for them.
Like giant, disgusting fart noises on Twilight Sparkle, just for fun, just for us.
Yeah, in the mix section.
We'll be watching the show and I'll turn around and be...
And Jayson and I, being juveniles, are like, cut it.
It happens. It's fun. It's fun. It's a fun place to work.
Usually if we're listening to it and it's really, really pronounced or distracting, we'll ask for it to be taken out. But sometimes it's just buried in the background and it's...
Not the farts.
Oh, not the phone. Yeah, not. Are we talking about the scream still?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Which I don't know if everybody knows what the Wilhelm scream is. I don't know if it's
It's
quite
it's like from an old movie in the.
Which movie do you know? You're an
No, it's from an old black and white cowboy movie. There's a guy who got shot off a building and it's just like every time. Like if you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's in there. That's the best place to find it when they run off the road when Indy's chasing them in the horse and they go off the cliff. It just appears in that movie, but. Yeah, and it's in a lot of...
criticizing Indiana Jones?
No, Raiders is a perfect movie, if you ask me. It's in a lot of Spielberg stuff. It's in a couple Star Wars movies. It's Star Wars. It's a lot of, I think Ben Burt was a big fan of it, and he sort of brought it back as the sound designer for a lot of Lucasfilm stuff.
You see a lot of little subtle things, like if you actually notice, and it's super...
Is there an earthquake going on?
It's the...
California, it's always an earthquake.
It's the kids nowadays with their...
the Doonchie Doonch music?
Wub step musics.
Wob, 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 wob,
And DJ mixers.
Perfect.
Yeah, but like even just like little things, like this is me being a nerd here. I know I'm not in like-minded company, but the little sweeps sometimes when you transition from scene to scene, it sometimes makes that same little Star Wars noise.
It's Lucasian?
Yeah, it's kind of like.
Let's put it this way: Jayson and I were born at the perfect time. I was born in '76. Jayson was born in '77.
Nice.
Oh, we are children of Star Wars and Raiders and all that stuff. So,
Had his Star Wars bottle.
yeah, we're pop culture fiends.
Yeah, I'll just fill my pipe.
Am I having auditory hallucination? Did we miss it? No, there it is.
Yeah.
Shut up.
There it is. So now that if you didn't know what that was before, every time you watch the show, you're going to hear it.
You'll
And
hear
then
it
it'll
in the
distract
middle
you
of
now.
dramatic scenes of serious movies too.
Yeah.
Like, and then you hear that like, and it's like,
You're like, oh, I'm taking out of the scene now.
That's it. Thanks, fourth wall. All right.
Next.
Have you guys ever submitted something to Hasbro just for it to be rejected, and then you have to come back and revise it? And if so, can you give an example?
Like, rejected on purpose?
Or do we deliberately give them something crappy?
Submitted something you know they wouldn't like just see if you could get away with it.
Well, yeah,
Like some of those jokes were like, not that we're like, these are bad jokes. It's more of a thing of like, we like this,
It might
but
be too far.
Yeah, we may have pushed the envelope too far.
But we don't want to self-edit too much because, like, sometimes, if you do that, then you miss an opportunity.
Right.
Because there has been times where, like, the odd thing is like, this might be too much. Let's not do it. And then somewhere down the line in a phone call, we sort of joke about what we might have done. They go like, that would
Why didn't you do that?
Why didn't you do that? And like,
We thought
I didn't think I could.
I
But
didn't.
sometimes it's almost better to ask for forgiveness
Then permission.
Yeah. Isn't there there's an anecdote actually about back in the days, season 1, about how they thought that Egghead, calling Twilight an egghead, it was a little too much.
Right, yeah.
There are certain, every episode has to go through broadcast standards and practices,
Yeah.
and they have rules about what we can and can't say and what they deem appropriate, and sometimes they're weird to us, but they make the choice for a specific reason.
Yeah, sometimes the ones that's weird to me is like that object is too sharp. Can you make it more dull? It's like, that's a drawing, right? It's not going to poke anybody. It's not going to hurt the children on the screen. But they have their own reasons for it, and they're protecting their own interests.
Of course.
And so we have
most
to
of the
allow that.
time,
It's
they're
fine.
fairly benign requests.
Very, very benign.
dull the edges on that drawer. It's like,
Okay, it's not going to hurt the scene.
I think that actually has something to do with how Scootaloo, every time she rides her scooter, wears a helmet.
Right.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But we like to
It's a
take
part of
that
that
thing where they said,
standards
like,
and practices, right?
please make sure that the ponies are wearing safety gear. So,
Right.
like, if you look at Pinkie Pie in the Magpie episode, when she's wearing her safety gear, it's like a helmet and ski goggles and a snorkel. And, like,
we find a way to make it fun.
Make it funny. Like,
So that you
okay.
don't feel like this was just tacked on.
Or
It's
make
like
it-
a part
push it-
of the
Push it
story.
further. Make it a joke.
Like in the Apple, in the, what was it?
Pinky Apple
Pinky
Pie.
Apple Pie,
Pinky Apple
sorry.
Pie, yeah.
And where they're all wearing their life preservers. Of course, we have to put them in life preservers on the wrap. But we thought, like, well, with Big Mac, he's got that thing around his neck, the yoke. Why don't we just,
Put the
put the
duck
duck
on
on there? Like, let's make it funny.
It's
That he's
funny.
wearing a life preserver. It's just shaped like a duck. And then it's,
We had that drawn, like we had it from another thing, and then
Yeah.
we threw it on him. We're like, okay, go.
And in that way, it just feels more natural and organic with the story, and gives you a little chuckle.
Yeah, the awesome thing is Jason and I laugh a lot working on the show.
Too
Coming up-
much.
yeah, too much. Trying to come up with crazy, funny things, and sometimes they work awesome, and sometimes there's jokes where we're like, wait till they see that, and then nothing. No one got it. It's not funny.
Well.
Or someone on a comment thread is like, dumbest joke ever, and it's like. I'm gonna
You never know what
You said
people are
it like
gonna-
comic book guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I found that to
exactly
be
what I've
very
got.
shallow and pedantic. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to just try everything that makes you happy, and then some people get it, some people don't. You just take it in stride.
But the feeling when people get your jokes, though.
It's wonderful.
the best,
It's really,
the
really
best.
wonderful.
The best.
Yeah, and we were talking
best,
about this
Jerry.
earlier today, but speaking of jokes everybody liked, one of Jason's here was the little felt. Pinky's brain is felt.
Yeah. The felt
And
stop
there's a,
motion
like,
animation.
and she just pulls out of nowhere a felt checkbox in the
That joke was mine at the end.
Yeah, that
we
was
did
in
the
the
felt
storyboard.
stuff, and then once I saw that, I'm like, oh, we have to end the act with a callback to that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
Yeah.
check.
Yeah, so funny.
So
And then-
both of you get credit for that.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I was like, well, we have to make that check mark felt too.
Right.
Yeah.
Because what kind of
So it's
check
just
mark
like,
is she gonna pull up? So
there's
yeah.
a lot of like, oh yeah, we'll take this.
I dare you.
Yeah. And then once that felt thing had been so well received, Jason's like, I really want to do something like that again.
Yeah.
And then he was looking for the perfect opportunity to do that, and that's where live action Boneless came from
Yeah.
in Pinky Pride. He made that in his house with his wife and made it out of balloons and rice.
Balloons and rice and hot glue.
And
It
did you
doesn't
say-
stick to balloons very well, so it's all falling apart.
And he came in the next day and he's like, check this out. I don't know if we can use it. The string broke and it just fell.
I did 1-2 takes and that was it.
And the puppet
Busted.
broke like his leg fell off.
Oh well, hopefully it's high definition enough.
And literally when we cut it in, he's like, okay, cut to this very last frame before the leg falls off. So the next frame, it falls off.
I'm not a puppet maker. It was just an experiment, but it was fun to do.
And it's super funny.
But I tried to find a real rubber chicken that you buy in the store, and I went to all these different places because I was determined. People are like, "You're crazy. What are you trying to do?" And I'm like, "No, this could work." And
It happens a lot of time. They go, you're crazy. And we're like, but we have vision.
I think I know it can work in my head. I just got to do it. So we go to all these like joke shops, and I find like all the rubber chickens, and I'm like, looking at each
Evaluating
one, and
them.
I'm like shaking it, and no, too stiff. No, that wrong face. I don't like it. And I was like, what I really want is one that looks like Boneless, and I couldn't find anything appropriate. So I'm just like, I think I'm going to have to build him. And then that was like, I spent like a few nights like up at night and not sleeping, trying to like figure out like, how am I gonna make this happen and look like him on screen? And my wife was like, oh, not bad, just
Everyone's going, is it really worth it for one?
and there were a few failed attempts, but I figured out the good formula, and I think it turned out.
Did you guys like it?
And
There you go. It was worth it.
And so the other idea I wanted to like find an actual caiman lizard or something like that to represent Get Gummy, and I was going to build like a little Ponyville set out of cardboard and actually film it. And so I was like going around. There's a lizard sanctuary in Delta near Vancouver, and I was like looking at their website, calling, "Do you have any caiman lizards around this size?" And they're like, "No, we only have newts."
Also,
and
can I put him in a cardboard set if you do?
Can I come over to my house for a little while? Can I borrow it for a few minutes? We're going to make a movie. Yeah, can you sign an NDA?
Yeah.
But
going to these pet stores and you're just shaking these alligators.
this one's moving too much. So, I couldn't find. I had a hard time. I couldn't find the right one. I ran out of time too. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to go to stock footage, I guess. So I spent the night on the internet looking for the perfect gummy footage.
He brought in like 3 clips, and we spent a lot of time going,
You know, this guy's nice, but
he's blinking too much
blinking a
here.
little too much.
This guy,
I don't like his attitude.
He doesn't love the camera, this guy.
No. His face is a little mean.
Yeah.
I can just picture like the Getty Images people being like, "Really? We just
Oh, we paid for it. Don't worry.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
up and up.
we just got a sale for the alligator picture from My Little Pony. What do they want with that? What? Bill to DHS. Really? Okay. All right. Is this a joke?
And you know, Devin, the producer, oftentimes we'll go and we're like, we got this crazy idea. He just rolls his eyes and he's like, all right, guys, okay, what do you want now? We want to build this crazy thing and then get some ponies in here and we ride them around. And he's like, look, you can have one pony.
You can have one pony.
And you can't ride it.
And if you can do it within this much time and without costing me any money or any...
On your own time.
Don't cause me
very
any
patient.
stress. No, he's a nice guy. He's great.
Very patient man.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of which, this is my weird follow-up question here. Did you ever have to go out to an actual pony ranch for reference?
Yeah. No, you guys not know them shows motion captured? No, tell the story about that place in Delta.
Yeah, there's a place near Langley where my parents live, and my sister was taking some horse riding lessons. She loves horses, and she was riding, and we went there to go to see her do her little test. No, it was really good. She's really great. And but anyway, we were walking around, and they had these like Shetland ponies that they rent out for birthday parties and stuff. And I walked by one, and then I looked. Each one has a name. I looked at one of them, and it says Applejack. And I was like, oh, it's not a coincidence. Then I looked at the pony and I was like, it's a perfect analog.
Blonde pony.
Blonde pony was perfect analog for Applejack. And I was like, that's Applejack right there.
And now we've had discussions of like, we gotta get that Applejack in the show. But we're not sure if that'll ever happen.
You're gonna commit a horse napping? Like,
yeah, we would take her to the studio and we would
have a little
we're just gonna have her like do a couple layout scenes, maybe.
Sign some autographs.
Some B-roll for the credits. Some autographs.
Maybe we should get some glamour shots done with her, like you and I, like.
We need a mascot for the studio.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be the best Merry Christmas from DHX. Like, everybody on this actual Applejack.
We could get like Joel and Dallas, the directors of Littlest Pet Shop, with all these like hamsters and stuff. And then the guys who work on Transformers are just with a mech or something.
What?
I don't know.
He doesn't know anything about
I'm dumb.
Something that's more than meets the eye. Or, Michael Bay.
Sure.
Explosions everywhere. All right, well, we've got a little bit more time here. We got about 10 minutes left, actually. We had a good long panel here to talk about stuff. So, yeah, questions here. Yeah, right there.
Sorry if not exclusively, but on the episode with working with Weird Al, how was that? Well, hearing stories.
How is it to work with Weird Al?
Oh, Weird Al.
Jason got to go down and hang out with him.
Fly down to LA and meet him and direct him, which was kind of a nerve-wracking experience because I'm a huge fan of his.
We both were.
Yeah, and so I mean the idea for that episode came out of a Twitter feed. I don't know how many of you know the story, but there was one time someone posted a little PMV with Weird Al's music to it, and then he commented on it on Twitter, and I saw that comment, and it was just sort of as a stupid joke in the moment. I'm like, how would you like to? Would you ever want to do a voice on the show one time? I never thought anyone would care. And it just got this huge, response online. And then like a year later, he direct messaged me randomly, and I just happened to check my direct messages that day, and I was like, Weird Al, what the? And he says like, hey, sorry it took a year to get back to you, but yeah, I'd love to do it sometime. Just contact my agent. I'm like, what?
Well, did you guys notice, like, on Pinky Pride, it was credited as story by that guy right there?
Well,
like,
yeah.
he came up with the premise of that show to work in Weird Al, and then Amy ran with it and made it crazier and awesome. But, Jayson, the whole episode exists because of that moment.
Yeah, that's what prompted it all. And then I had to, I kind of was sitting on it for a while because we were already halfway through and had all the episodes written for season 3. It was season 3 when this happened. So I'm like, I can't do it this season. Well, maybe next season. And so when we were, looking for episodes, I was like thinking to myself, I should just write a premise, come up, I'll do a little proposal. And I just sort of on a call, I was like, well, what do you guys think of an episode where you bring in a guest star? And so I pitched the idea, and they happened to like it, and I was like, well, if we don't get Al, it'll still work, with just a new character. But they actually approached him, and he agreed to do it, and it all worked out. And going down to work with Al was one of the best experiences of my life. Like, meeting him in person, I was really nervous, and I was waiting for him to arrive, and I expected him to have like an entourage of people, and being all like, I am Weird Al.
Several accordions,
I didn't know, and so I was just sort of waiting, and then I heard his voice in the other room. I'm like, is he here already? And I go over there, and he's just all by himself, wearing some comfortable shoes and a nice shirt, and just like, oh, there he is. He's just standing there and talking, and I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Jayson. He's like, oh, hi, my name's Al. And I'm like, I know who you are. You can only be one person. But he was just like the most normal, nice, friendly guy. We were like chatting about UHF. He was telling some stories about writing that show, or that movie, and I was just like, this guy's just a total bud. Like, he's just a really nice guy. And we were recording him. He was so easygoing and like...
Yeah, like I was in Vancouver with the rest of the cast when we recorded, and Jayson was in LA, and Daniel was down there too.
Out.
Yeah, and they were on the line at the same time, so the girls could talk to Al and whatnot. And then, we recorded the majority of the episode, and I started saying, like, say, it's the breeze knees. Say, I swear on Camembert. And he's like, let's do it, okay? I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's saying my stupid cheese puns. Yeah. This is the best thing ever.
So, and he was just a real good sport about the whole thing, and
now got
just
that. It's the breeze.
took our direction really well, and tried really hard. Like he cared about making it good. And when we were recording him for the music, he was like such a trooper. We recorded with him for like hours, like almost a whole day, and we were like worried, like, do you want a break? Are you okay? And he was just like, no, keep going. Whatever you want, I'll do more takes. How do you want me to do? You want to do it?
He wanted to get it right.
He wanted to get it right. He wanted to get it perfect. And
it was awesome. Like, from what Jayson told me, he was as committed to the show and making it great as you would want him to be. Like, he was like, okay, I'm a professional. I want to treat this show with the respect that you guys have for it, and so let's do it right.
And whatever we asked him to do, he was like, oh, okay, let's do that. And there was no attitude or anything. I was just like, you're like a legend, Which you could say no.
Well, I mean, every story I've ever heard about him sounds like he's an amazing gentleman and a super nice guy.
Yeah. And just fun.
It's nice to find out that that's true.
Yeah. And so when the episode aired, and about 10 minutes after it finished airing, I got an email from him that basically just said, I know you're probably hearing it from everyone on the internet, but I just wanted to say it was like one of the best episodes I've ever seen. I really loved it. My daughter and I were over the moon. It was the greatest thing ever. And I was just like, save. And so it was just a really, really awesome experience.
In the office sometimes he'll just bring it out and go,
But we were really lucky with that episode too. Like we got like the best board artist in Vancouver to do it, who's also a huge fan, bigger than me.
Yeah.
And by far.
It's Scott Underwood.
Plays the accordion.
He plays the accordion.
Yeah.
I worked with him on Ed, Ed and Eddie
I've
for
known
a
him
long
since
time.
grade 9.
Jayson grew up with him, and it was like everything just, the stars aligned.
Yeah.
It was like,
so I was like,
oh,
Scott has
perfect.
to board this. We have to get Scott.
And then one of our other regular board artists, Nicole Wang, was on it, and oh man, did she step up to the
stepped
plate
up, yeah,
and
for
just
sure.
knocked it. Like Scott set the bar really high, and Nicole,
tried so
this
hard.
tiny little girl, was like, okay, I will do it.
Yeah,
Scott,
little Asian girl, like,
super nice. She just came up with some, like, you know that scene where they're eating the giant pizza? That
was her idea,
That was
yeah.
super funny and weird.
really, really funny ideas. And actually, that crazy face, like that sort of the goof-off face that she makes, that was Nicole's drawing. And we just matched it, and I'm like, wow, you're doing
Don't
good.
change a thing.
Yeah, and like almost like the whole goof-off song was all Scott, and
That whole thing where Cheese sticks his tongue out and there's a mouse playing the tune on it.
that's totally Scott. That's fully Scott. And the thing is, he throws in stuff like that. Just
There was some stuff that was just like, this is too
that
weird.
we can't. I don't
It's
even
not
know
that
how
it
to
wasn't
animate
funny,
that.
it's just like, bleh.
Yeah, but that that's him. He puts in like the really good, weird, funny stuff. And then we all got to go to Al's concert that was happening like in Vancouver a few months later, and that was really fun. We got to meet him again.
Yeah, and Andrea got to meet him. And
Yeah, we got a photo of all of us.
With him.
Long story. Sorry.
Oh, so Canadian
Yeah.
to apologize
That's
after
right.
a story they asked to hear.
Sorry.
Everybody here.
Sorry I told you that story.
Everybody's here really interested in hearing it. It's like, sorry. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's all right. Weird Al, the fact that came from like a PMV,
Pretty cool.
Yeah, you never know.
that warms my soul and
Yeah.
makes me think like we made a difference, guys.
Yeah.
We did it.
And he just happens to be
Brony.
friends with Will Anderson, our score composer. And
Will used to be in his band.
he was in his band. He recorded on one of his first albums and toured with them. He's credited on I think
Dare to Be Stupid, or is it before that?
I think it was before that.
The
On the
Another
very-
One Rides the Bus?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
credited on one of those albums, but it was pretty cool. And he told me this, and I'm like, really? So I went and I checked. I had the CD, and I looked at the back. It's like, oh, there he is, Will Anderson. I said that's right. That's the end of the story.
That's the end of the story.
Sorry.
The end.
But you gotta stop doing that. I swear.
You gotta perpetuate the stereotype.
I know, yeah. Sorry.
There's a government mandate. When
Yeah.
you cross the border, they're like, remember to apologize for things. Talk about maple syrup. Don't forget about the poutine.
Poutine.
Hockey all the time. Say a.
Say a. Yeah.
Just be like, oh, a lot of Canadian comics, Jim
So-
Carrey, Mike Myers, eh?
Sorry to break the bad news to you and all, but we've only got a boat.
You mean a boot?
I was trying to say, you actually don't say a boot, you say like a boat.
We're West Coast guys.
Yeah.
It's really East Coast as a boot.
We have 2 minutes left in our panel time.
Who's got the best
Countdown is on. We've got time for either 6 terrible questions, or just who's got the best question?
Lightning round.
Who's confident enough in their question?
How about yes or no questions?
How about that? Yeah, yes or no questions.
Yes or no questions? Yeah.
Are you still in contact with Delancey? Because he quit Twitter a year ago.
Whoa.
What? In contact with him? Like send him Christmas cards and stuff?
Yes.
However, years. How was the sailing trip or whatever?
I just heard him on the Nerdist, and he said his sailing trip was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys listen to that episode of him on the Nerdist podcast? He talks about Pony, and
Chris Hardwick had like a nerdgasm.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Good episode. Good episode.
You ever had to cut an entire episode?
No.
Okay.
No.
Really?
Episodes have been cut, but at the script.
Oh, okay. Not a finished episode.
Okay,
I thought
not
that's an-
rendered, finished. Okay, all right.
Yes.
Tabitha. She lost her voice at one point.
Yeah, she was really sick, and we had to pick her up quite a time after.
We had to wait for a while.
Yeah, she had a really bad cold. Yes, sir. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you
much of the animation that comes out of fandom?
Yes. Next question.
All right. All right, over there. Funny thing.
Your duck hand. You're turning around now.
I'm doing duck hand, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Have you ever considered starting a food fight?
A food fight?
Well, with the computers we have, like at work, you mean, or right now? I don't. Next question. So cake or pie?
Pinky. What?
Cake or pie? That's not a yes or no question.
yes or no
Next question.
All right. That's not a yes or no question. But, all right.
Yes.
What's up with potato? Is that what you said?
Oh, my avatar on Twitter.
Who has potatoes?
It's a character of mine from some
failed show pitch.
It's still out there.
Yours is a thumb.
Well, have you seen my face? I look like a thumb. I actually had someone come up to me and was like, "You look like your avatar." I was like, "Yeah."
That's terrible. That's terrible. All right. Well, it's about time that we wrap this up here at 7:45. So once again, let's hear a big round of applause for our
Thanks, everybody. We love you.